So the next champion we're going to look at is a zombie. The zombie will have the flavor of a zombie, hopefully, and it will have all passive abilities. It does not have any activated abilities. So, not because zombies, that would feel as something a zombie would have, although it does kind of feel like that. It's more that the idea of having all passive abilities hasn't been done yet. And yeah, it's the same as with an active innate ability. That doesn't exist yet either. So this character is going to have all passives. And his innate ability makes him lose 1 maximum HP per second, which is reset to 0 once your champion is being killed, has been killed by an enemy champion. It does not reset if you get killed by a jungle minion, or well, if you get executed, basically. So either by a turret, by a minion, or by a monster. Then you gain increased health regeneration based on your lost maximum HP. So these two tie in together. The longer you survive without getting killed, the more health regeneration you're going to have, but the lower your maximum HP is going to be. This would mean that if you build him really tanky and you survive quite long, you're basically indestructible, which is really nice to have. So your Q is obviously a passive. It gives nearby enemies 100 to 500 hit points, and yeah, that allows you to survive even longer because, well, because of your innate ability. You can lose these hit points and gain more health regeneration. Your W gives nearby enemies, nearby allies, 10 to 50 attack damage, obviously based on the level. The E is also a passive and gives nearby enemies 10 to 50 damage over time. So kind of the effect you would get from Sunfire Cape, only it does stack with Sunfire Cape. So if you want to go for a tanky build and you combine the two, you do 85 damage over time, which is excellent. It will probably also work on minions and monsters because, well, why not? The Sunfire Cape does, so this one should as well. Then the R, also a passive. When you attack an enemy, he is stunned, and it only triggers once every 5 seconds or 4 seconds, I don't know. It's kind of like the bear stance on Udyr, but this one is automatically, and all nearby enemies are slowed. That's also a passive which you get automatically, but this one doesn't trigger in well, just once every 5 seconds. It is just all nearby enemies are slowed. So all in all, I think this gives kind of a nice feeling to it. You get to be a character that gives your enemies or your allies a whole lot of benefits. It also allows you to do some damage with the E, and it allows you do get a stun. So what more can you want? Anyone wants a stun. And yeah, that's it for this one. So on to the next. So this character is one that I had in my head for quite a while, because it seems so nice to have this. It is a chameleon, and its innate ability makes it truly invisible when in the grass and not attacking. Obviously, if you're attacking, you cannot be invisible. This means that you cannot be revealed by any means, so even if you have a pink ward or an oracle's elixir or even the skills that would reveal you normally, do not reveal you. You can of course still take damage from well, whatever skill actually lands on you. But it does provide a new kind of game mechanic where you can actually escape with an invisible character. When the opponent has an oracle's elixir, because what I see with these invisible characters is once the enemy has an Oracle Elixir, they can just kill you over and over and over again. And that is, if you play Evelyn, that is what happens. You're really strong early game, but then you're going to get into the kind of situation where if you cannot kill the person with the Oracle Elixir, there is no way you're going to get out of it. But this character would be able to escape, or to evade his enemies by just moving into the grass, not attacking. That makes him completely invisible, but he can still move. So he can move from grass patch to grass patch to grass patch in order to escape. Of course, the enemies might still launch everything they have at you because they know you're in there. But well, it's not like you want to be you want to make your characters invulnerable. You just want to add something that, well, that feels right. Then the second thing the chameleon has, all of its items and stats are hidden. So you cannot actually see the amount of AP or AD or health or anything. You can only see the health bar, so the actual, the current health and current mana, but not how much damage it does or what items it bought. Seems that these kind of things are really important in this game, because now that we can see everything, you can just build against them. And with this character, it would be impossible to build against unless you can actually see what they have, and that would require you to some guessing at least. And especially if you would change your item build. But yeah, it also means that the chameleon wouldn't receive all of these auras you get from certain items, because the point is that you cannot see what items he bought. So does he go full tank, or does he go full AD or full AP? And that would make for a whole different play style against him, at least. Then upon level up, you can actually choose your stats. Instead of just leveling up and getting auto stats, you would be able to choose them like they do in Diablo 2. Diablo 2 allows you to, every time you level up, you can either put points in strength or in agility or in health or magic, whatever. And you would be allowed to do that here as well. So you can increase your health, you can increase your mana, you can increase your AP, your AD, I don't know. So you would have little buttons next to the the stats in the bottom left of your screen, and you would be able to level up whatever stats you think are most useful for your build. I think that would make for, well, nice character. So then the abilities really don't, or I didn't really think of that. They just, I wanted to fit them in with the chameleon type. So you have a tongue lash, which is kind of a range damage kind of thing. Then you have a snare, which kind of does something with a flash type jump. So you jump onto your opponent and then you hold them. Then you have poison claws, which kind of felt like a good thing to do. And then you would have an increased vision, which has clairvoyance kind of effect, which, as I mentioned in the previous video, or the previous part of the video, is kind of one of these effects that I really like in this game. It allows you to, if you're good with it, so if you're a skillful player, you will be able to utilize it pretty well, and if you're not a skillful player, you will not be able to use it at all, because you have no idea what to do with it. It also gives you a movement speed increase, because, well, most of the chameleons are really fast. So that kind of to tie in with the flavor. And, well, the vision would kind of be because he has good eyesight. I don't know, something like that. It doesn't really matter. It's more of a flavor text than anything else. So more about the fact that you can be invisible, your items are invisible, and you can level up your stats. So on to the next one. Champion number 9 then, out of the 11 we're going to do today, is Narim, the Talon representative. Yeah, it is a reference for those of you who know the show to Stargate. And one of the abilities is actually right from Stargate, but we'll get to that. First of all, this is an innate ability. I try to mix in some skill here, so allowing a skillful player to do a lot better with him than an unskillful player. For each minion you kill, you get 1 point, and these points are used to activate your skills. So the more minions you kill, the more points you gather, and the more points you gather, the more you can do with your skills. So someone who just started the game shouldn't play this character at all, because he has no idea how to last hit, and he is not going to be able to use his skills at all, which kind of was the point. Then your cooldown reduction on your skills is going to range from 0% at level 1 to 100% at level 18. Meaning that at level 18 your skills can be used as many times as you want at the spot, so immediately, no cooldowns. Yeah, your Q, W and E skills all require the points, and they launch different projectiles, and I will discuss the R skill first. The R skill, you're going to get that right off the bat. As you start, you are allowed to build an ion cannon, which is a big cannon that allows vision for your team, as well as it allows you to block off a part of the map with it, because it's a big building basically, and it can be destroyed. It can also be replaced, but both of those actions give the enemy gold, so you don't want to do that too often. The placement of it is really important, because there is a travel time between where your cannon is and where your projectiles will land, because that's what your Q, W and E skills do. They fire projectiles from the ion cannon, so not from the character itself, but from the ion cannon. Meaning that you don't actually have to be close to wherever you're shooting at. Your cannon will just shoot at a certain region, and yeah, the projectile will have some travel time and then will land eventually. So placing your cannon at the summoner's platform would be a very safe place to put it, because it will never get destroyed. But the travel time for your projectiles is going to be really long compared to when you place it, for example, with the mid turrets, and you're going to be able to shoot from there in the mid lane. I don't know, you would have to figure it out for yourself, but also if you place it in the jungle, you would be able to spot for it or to block one of the jungle paths, or well, do something with it in that regard. You can also put it in one of the bushes to scout with it. I don't know. There's plenty of things to do with it. So the Q launches slowing projectiles, the W damage over time projectiles, the E launches armor and magic resistance reducing projectiles, and they're all going to level up 6 times, because you have 18 levels. You're going to get your ultimate for free, so you can level these up. Yeah, all of your skills then, since they have 6 levels, every level is going to mean different abilities for your projectiles. And not so much that the slowing, for example, is changed, but the AoE is changed. First of all, we're starting off with level 1 is a small AoE. Then level 2, or area of effect that is, for those of you who don't know. Level 2 is medium AoE, level 3 a large AoE. And then we're going to add something more to it. Level 4 you're going to get faster projectiles. Level 5 you're going to get a super fast projectile, and it's going to have a large AoE. And then level 6 is going to be a super fast projectile and is going to be a homing projectile. It no longer has the large AoE. So you're going to go from a large AoE spell to a targeted spell, and this is one of those skills where you have to choose, do I really want to have a targeted spell instead of a large AoE? Because large AoE spells can damage multiple opponents or slow multiple opponents at the same time. And for team fights that would be a whole lot better. Then again, if you collected enough points and you are at 100% cooldown reduction, because this cooldown reduction actually doesn't stack with the normal cooldown reduction and things like that. This is just based on your skills, and it shouldn't be worded as cooldown reduction because then it would have a 40% maximum. The idea is your cooldowns are going to be reduced with your level, but not with the skill level. Anyway, so you're going to have to make the choice between wanting the large AoE or wanting the targeted ability, because the targeted ability is very useful for targeting someone on the other end of the map, but it's not as useful in a team fight situation. So it involves a choice, and well, I think it's a nice thing to have, choice. Anyway, moving on to champion number 10. Champion number 10 is Laia, the Nox apprentice, which is also a Stargate reference for those of you who don't know. The Nox are really peaceful people, and they they fight basically. They don't fight, but they fight by stealth. They escape by just cloaking everything. So that's what this whole champion is about. It's about cloaking things. First of all, your innate ability makes enemy champions gain 8% less experience, which means that the enemy jungle, well, the percentage might not be correct. I just took 8% because Zillion has a plus 8% and this should be minus 8% then. But you should have the percentage in such a way that the enemy jungler is really messed up in his jungling abilities, because, well, with 8% less experience he wouldn't level up at the same point where he would normally level up, and if you could screw that up with this kind of a champion, that would be nice, because it makes it a little harder for the enemy to do their normal play. Then the Q, this is an energy based champion, hence the 50 energy. You're going to have 200 energy max, by the way, but we'll get to that. Stealth target ally for 2 to 10 seconds, the 2 seconds being level 1, the 10 seconds being level 5. And the stealth is broken when the target attacks, so your ally. And therefore it is not an offensive ability, it is a defensive ability, allowing your ally to run away and getting out of a fight at low health. The W, which is free, it slows all enemies, all champions, sorry, both allied and enemy, and you gain 50 energy for it. So it doesn't really give you an advantage, except for the 50 energy, but you can imagine situations where it's good to slow all enemies. For example, if your allies are being attacked under their turret and the enemy champion is taking some turret damage, is trying to run away. If you slow everyone, you might get a kill there. As I said, you gain 50 energy, which you can then use for your E skill, which is also 50 energy. It reduces cooldowns on all abilities of all allies, and the cooldown reduction is 1 second to 5 seconds based on your level. And you can hereby, or with this skill, you can help your allies without actually doing anything. So without actually being close or healing them or whatever. It's just a reduction of all cooldowns. And of course, it is a reduction of your cooldowns as well. Then the ultimate, which costs 200 energy, which means you have to have a full bar of energy for it. you at level 1, I will discuss the levels first. At level 1, you will remove all of the minions and monsters from the map. So that means all of the minions, both yours and the enemies, and all of the jungle minions, monsters, are removed from the map. So you can prevent your enemies from doing dragon or baron or jungling in general, or you can wipe the whole map. And you gain 1 gold for each minion, monster or champion in the case of level 3 removed from the game by this skill. So you can clear the whole map of all neutral creatures. Of course you cannot wipe the whole map and then say, well, dragon will respawn in 6 minutes. You will have to say dragon will respawn in like 1 minute, for example. So there will have to be a little bit of tweaking going on here, but that shouldn't be a problem. So level 2 then removes all minions and monsters from the map, and it hides all allies for 10 seconds. So you can use it kind of like you could use your Q skill, but then for all allies, and well, it also wipes everything. And obviously stealth is broken if one of the allies attacks, because you cannot be stealthed at the moment you attack. That would be overpowered. And level 3 removes all minions, monsters and champions from the map. And champions are treated as if dead, meaning that they will have the respawn timer on them and they will just have to wait. So you can basically win the complete or neutralize the complete team fight if you just lost a few champions and the enemy is going to do Baron. You can wipe the whole map, including Baron, but also including the enemy champions. And yeah, you won't get any of the kills, obviously, otherwise it would be completely broken. I think this is already completely overpowered, but it would be really nice to have something like that. But yeah, let me know. The last note then on this character. The W can actually be replaced by something like this, which is a changing skill, which is something we haven't seen yet. At different levels it does different things, but they're all connected. So in this case it would be a slow, but the slow increases in power if you when you level it up, or if you level it up basically. So first of all, you're going to get a skill shot slow for 1 champion. It cannot hit minions because, well, it's just a slow. Then you get to slow a target champion, so it's a homing missile. Then it is an AoE slow, which means it's more powerful because you can hit multiple targets with it. Then you will slow all enemy champions all over the map, and then finally it stuns all enemy champions all over the map. But the difference between the slow and the stun will be the duration. So for example, you would get a 3-second slow at 40%, or you would get 1 second stun at, well, no, you would get a 1 second stun. And you would have to make the choice whether or not you want to level it up to level 5. Because maybe the slow is better than the stun in some situations. And that would allow you to have a champion that is not fully leveled up, but can do a better job of doing whatever they do than you would if you have a fully leveled up champion. I think that's nice, but maybe I'm the only one. Well, finally we arrived at number 11 then, the final champion. And this champion is called a replicator, for obvious reasons, as you will see in a minute. First of all, you have a passive and an active innate once more. Your passive innate is for each minion you kill, you gain 1 point. I think that is a really nice thing to have as a mechanic. And you're going to use those points on your ultimate. So just your ultimate this time, not all of the skills. But you will need to get some minion kills here. And the more minion kills you can get, so the better you are at the game basically, the more you can use them. And then your active is going to require hitting T plus 1, 2, 3 or 4. and it changes the behavior on your target pet. Replicators are your pets, and you're going to be a replicator as well, but never mind about that. So you can choose between protect target, where you have to select the target obviously, guard a location, where you have to select the location, attack a target, where you have to select your target to attack, and retreat to nearest turret. And with these 4 skills you should be able to do just about anything with your pets and allow you to manage them in an individual way, instead of them just running around the map like crazy. So your Q deals damage to a target based on the level of the Q obviously, so 50 to 250. Those are just numbers, I just made them up, I don't care. If the target dies because of this skill, you gain 1 point, which means that for the minion kill you're going to get 2 points, 1 from the Q and 1 from your passive innate. The W does area of effect damage, and if the enemy dies because of this area of effect damage, you gain 2 points. So that means a total of 3 points for these skills. Then the E is going to give the same damage as your Q, but then damage over time. And if the target dies, you gain 3 points, because, well, and a total of 4 points, because it is so much harder to get a last hit with damage over time. But if you're really good with damage over time, as you can see, you can get a lot of points really quickly. Then your ultimate. Your ultimate summons a replicator, which is one of your pets, and you can get as many of them as you want, or as you can muster basically. For every 25 points you can make a new one. They will not time out, and by leveling up the ultimate you can get multiple effects on them. So as it says here, 10 to 50% more damage based on the level, 10 to 50% lifesteal, and 5 to 25 HP per second. So you can level up your ultimate to make your pets stronger, and you are basically the leader of a group of pets. That's how you do your damage, or well, that's what you do in the game. And you can use your pets to scout the map. You can also use it to protect your allies. You can use it to attack champions. You can do all kinds of things with it. They can be healed, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't have lifesteal and health per second. And they can be targeted by enemy skills, so they're basically the same as any other minion, only they're yours to command. So that's it. As I said previously, please leave some comments on your champion IDs, on comments on my champion IDs, and on whatever. I mean, this is kind of a discussion type thing where I would really like to hear your opinions on what are good champions, what are not good champions, which abilities would be really nice to have on a champion, and yeah, those kind of things. I mean, everyone has had this idea of that would be great on a champion, and it just doesn't come. So let us know, and maybe someday Riot will see it and will actually say, hey, that's a good idea, let's implement that. So for now, that's it, and I'll see you next time.